Anil is a new joiner at Airtel. Ravina is a manager at Airtel. Ravina decides to meet Anil and check if he has completed all the onboarding formalities and important trainings. Let's see how the conversation goes.
Hi Anil, how are you? Welcome on board.
Thank you.
Have you completed the onboarding formalities and paperwork?
I have, thanks. I have a quick question.
Sure, go ahead, please ask.
While signing documents, I came across different policies like conflict of interest, code of conduct, and POSH. I have signed it but could not understand the exact meaning and how it affects me in day-to-day life.
That's a valid question. Let me explain you these one by one. Let's start with conflict of interest.
Sure.
Conflict of interest occurs when an individual or a person in a position of authority faces a situation where their personal interests, relationships, or affiliations could influence their ability to make fair and impartial decisions. It arises when there is a clash between personal interests and professional duties, potentially compromising the objectivity and fairness of the decision-making process. Let me explain it to you with an example. Imagine you are the captain of a cricket team and your best friend is the umpire for the match. Now, during the game, your friend has to decide if the batsman is out or not. Now, because you're his best friends, you really want him to give a decision in favor of your team. If you let your friendship influence the decision and say your friend is not out when they really are, that's a conflict of interest. It's not fair to the other team because the umpire's decision should be based on the rules, not on what's best for you or your friend.
Now I understand the meaning of conflict of interest.
Now there are two ways to identify the conflict. One is actual and other one is potential.
Please explain me with an example.
Sure. Actual is defined as personal interests, financial interests, or other interests directly clash with your professional duties or responsibilities. For example, Rohit, a sales executive, recommending a competitor's SIM card brand to Airtel customers because his brother works for that company. Creating a personal interest conflict as his brother can earn more incentive by selling more SIM cards. The second type is potential conflict, which is defined as the risk that personal interests might clash with professional obligations. For example, Geeta, who is in charge of selecting suppliers for Airtel, decides to favor her close friend's company when choosing suppliers. This creates a conflict of interest because Geeta's personal relationship with her friend might influence her professional decision, which should be based on the best interests of Airtel.
That's really informative. But how do we avoid conflicts?
Let me tell you about some fair practices which we should follow to avoid any kind of conflict. Airtel strives to provide all employees with equal opportunities by allowing an inclusive environment that encourages diversity. Practices to avoid conflict of interest. Avoid part-time job or dual employment. Promote personal or family business to colleagues and customers. And obtain favors, discounts, or special privileges from a related entity or potential vendor.
How and who to report if there is any actual or potential conflict?
Personal relationship or romantic friendship or family, we are expected to report such situations to our HR partner, reporting manager, or skip manager or business head.
What to do if we have a personal relationship with someone within the organization?
Well, there are certain rules for that. I will explain it in detail. At Airtel, we have some rules to make sure that personal relationships don't cause problems at work. Here's how it works. Your relationship shouldn't give you special treatment or make things harder for you at work, like getting a job or promotion. If you and your friend work in different teams, that's cool. But if you both want to work in the same team, you have to tell the HR person and your supervisor. If you start being friends with someone at work, you can't be each other's boss or work really closely together. And you have to tell HR and your supervisor about your friendship. Remember, it's important to tell HR and your supervisor about these things in writing. This way, everyone knows what's going on and it's fair for everyone. Let's look at few examples. Examples for conflict avoidance. Example, Raj and Neha, who are colleagues at Airtel store, are also close friends outside of work. However, when it comes to project assignments, they ensure that their friendship doesn't influence decision-making or create bias in task allocation. They follow Airtel's norms to maintain professionalism and prevent conflicts arising from personal relationships. No additional benefit or disadvantage based on relationships. Example, a new Airtel store manager discovers that her sister is applying for a position in the same store as a CRO. Anu ensures that she doesn't provide any inside information or influence the recruitment process in her sister's favor. Airtel's policy ensures that personal relationships do not lead to any unfair advantage or disadvantage in recruitment, promotion, or other employment conditions. Avoiding reporting relationships with personal relationships. Example, Arjun and Mira, who are romantically involved, work at Airtel store are in different departments. Airtel's policy prevents Arjun from being directly or indirectly in a reporting relationship with Mira. If a situation arises where they might work closely, they are required to report this personal relationship to their HR partner and respective supervisors in writing to ensure transparency and compliance with company policies. In this training, we have learned about what is conflict of interest, types of conflict of interest, reporting conflict of interest, and how to avoid conflict of interest.
Thank you, Ravina. That was very informative and simple to understand.
I am happy you have clear understanding on conflict of interest.